This is a King's Ransom number 3, video 3. I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and my father's Edward VIII. And he was married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe. That's my Aunt Georgia O'Keefe. I don't have a photo of my mom. I'm using this. Larry Flint was shot. I was doing a book in Lawrenceville, and he was shot in Gwinnett County in Lawrenceville, and he did an endorsement of me in '84 for the presidency. I ran for U.S. Congress to replace the doctor I had written about. So I guess I'm moving about here, and they won't put this one up. But I wanted to finish what I didn't put up. I was telling about I was kidnapped and brought to this family, Dempsey's in Moulton, Alabama. This is the double that married, one of them that married Wallace Simpson. My father, that was a total lie and takedown of my dad. My dad was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe and remained wed even after they took him down and everything. They never divorced or anything. It was a lie. Wallace married a double, and they became the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. So they thought they got rid of my dad, his own brother George VI, illegal George VI. And I've told all this, so I'm going to go ahead from here. I've got so much of it up if you care to look. I was actually writing about mind control murders, and oddly enough, finally they're telling just a touch of implantable biochips. This is what I was writing about. They're not calling it that. They're saying that corporations are putting it like a little piece of rice. Hey, I mean, you can Google this. You may not get the names that I have a list to know about my kidnapping. It won't tell. But MK Ultra, you can Google it, mind control, and you can get all this, enough about mind control. So it's been going on. People just tune it out. And it's shocking. They did say a few things. It looks like the beginning of it because I never... I don't know. I always thought, I believe there's a creator. God created us. I'm not sure why he did. This sounds a little odd, but I don't know where I'm going. Well, yeah, I do too. The Illuminati kidnapped me. I was born in '39, and my Uncle George, they planned my kidnapping. JFK helped in it. His father was ambassador to England, 36 till they kicked him out in 46, and Roosevelt had appointed him. Because of the addendum to the abdication, my father brought him back in when I was born to Buckingham Palace, because the day I was born, the minute I was born, Queen Victoria II, heir to the British crown. And so evidently my father and mother moved back in. My mom was actually Queen Claudia O'Keefe, Windsor, and they burned the Windsor files. Churchill did, and he was in cahoots with part of my family there, and the Americans. He even, after all this happened, he went over and they gave him a suite and limoed him around. Roosevelt did. So all your presidents, Eisenhower, if you get into researching it, Eisenhower knew it. All your presidents since then have known about my kidnapping, what they did to Great Britain, to my father. They invaded us and took everything we had. So I'm going to get to this because there was something I left out here. I did the book, and it got really rough for it. It's always been rough for me. They brought me here and gave me the name of a twin, the Dempseys. The twins had been killed by their mother, and that's a whole nother story. Then they gave me the name of Peggy, and that's the name I still have to use. I married a Childers, and both twins were actually dead, but I didn't find that out, that Peggy had been killed. I could remember then, once I heard about my kidnapping, and then it was like a puzzle, putting a puzzle together. But anyway, I'm losing my train of thought, and I wanted to get this in. the people that left me here, I put all this up before. The two men that actually brought me to the Dempseys and handed me to Lina, the mother of the twins, and they covered up the killings. But anyway, I'm rambling, and I just wanted to get this up. I'm trying to hurry. The Peggy was killed the real Peggy was killed about 2 or 1 week before I was put there in 41. So they had this planned. It's how she was killed, but then what they have done to me all my life, and then my children, Mark and Scott, are heirs to the crown. I have no idea if they're alive. I hope so. I don't know that I could live. So this woman knew about my kidnapping, about my mom. She actually was 15 years old when they kidnapped me, and her mother and father were part of it. He was illegal. He helped take down his own brother and helped in my kidnapping. So we both lived in Buckingham Palace at the time. I was 2 years old, and I'm the heir, actually. Then my dad's trying to get it back. So Elizabeth has always known. And I don't know if any of this is going to go up or not. But, and she's remained quiet. She has known, been right through Virginia when I lived up on the Appalachian Trail just trying to live. She's using my money. She's given away my country, the illegal treaties that allowed the United States to come in and take over everything. And most people think the United States is a good guy. No, they're not. They invaded Great Britain. They kidnapped me, took out my dad. They have done nothing but lie. They don't want it told. And man, I have been through hell and my sons. So I'm going to leave it at that. Hell doesn't even come close. So what was the other thing I wanted to finish, though? I wrote the book in 78, and the FBI letter came June the 23rd of 79, ongoing investigation. So now then, with that letter and everything, on April Fool Day of 80, I'm not going to tell anymore what was put in me. I should have died. I was illegally transported back to Huntsville, Alabama, by Lina Dempsey and my ex-husband, and I'm not going to name the other person, his wife again, that helped shove me in the car, in the condition I was in. Now, there's a whole bazaar there, if it's ever told, what they did to me. Nobody has paid for it. Believe me, I went to every channel in Atlanta area. Everybody knew it. All this can be proven. The person who typed my manuscript, I typed it till I had to go back to work to try to finish it and have money. And I was paying her. I run an ad in the paper. And she gave me her phone number and said, if you want to find out how the book's going with her typing, retyping it, call me. I called, and she works for the Atlanta, the Georgia Crime Lab. So anyway, for whatever, now then, where was I going to go? I was trying to get about this one point, and I showed my finger. I couldn't remember any of this. I knew the way I was brought up was all wrong, but how could I, I couldn't remember until the Brits told me, and the Germans. And there's been some Americans that have helped me, tried, but most of them hate my guts. And man, it has been hell on wheels what they will do to you, and while they're pretending to be the good guy. But anyway, the same guy, two men that with their suits and everything came and left me there with the Dempseys, came back, and they cut my finger off at the knuckle, just above the knuckle. I'm going to show it because it has a black mark. You get into twins here, not just the Peggy and Carl that were killed and put me there, but Irvin Terry and one of the Dempseys, Buin, and I told you on one of these others about Irvin. They switched, and he's British. He was sent over here to help me. But anyway, they had twins, and that's just before I cut my finger on a pipe, and it had soot in it, and the soot would never come out. But anyway, I didn't remember it until later in 80 when they put that in me. I should have died, and Dempsey, the mother of the twins, was a psychopath. And man, this woman made my life hell too. The family covered it up. The whole family covered it up. They knew. And I was sitting there. It's just before I went to work for Fred Simpson, as in Wallace. They were doing patterns and clues to my identity, my jobs and stuff. Anyway, it was just prior to going to work for Fred Simpson, the district attorney. So this would have been May of 80. In the condition I'm in, I'm sitting there, and across from me is this girl, about 22, and she's got, her finger is wrapped up, and it had been cut off. I mean, you could tell it was wrapped, and I started just about screaming. And Dempsey looked funny. She was there like this guard. She was going to guard me. She wasn't going to let me out of her sight. So I started remembering and something about the finger. And then in 83, I found out about my kidnapping and my dad and mom and all that. And I started remembering a whole lot about being brought there. Since then, part of the family's admitted it because I could remember too much of being brought there. And anyway, I'm going to say this. I came, and maybe I shouldn't mention their name. I'm not going to. But I came here. I was put out on the street again. Larry Flint furnished me a car and helped me in that campaign in 83 and did the endorsement here. But I was put back out on the street, and I ended up here in Roanoke. And I came to Roanoke, and there's a library downtown that you could go and stay warm or get in and out of the cold. But I'm just going to skip the rest of it. What I wanted to tell here was that the first job I had was a companion aid could get. I mean, I used to work for doctors. I had good bookkeeping, typing, and written the book and tried to get it published. And then I started finding out how high-powered it goes, and it's not because I was writing about mind control murders necessarily, that was enough, but because of who I am, who my father is, and who kidnapped me, and all of it. So the first job I had, I'm going to say this, it was in Grandin Village on Grandview, off Williamson Road, here across from Crossroad Shopping Center. It's still there here in Roanoke. It was across there, and I went to work for her. She was an elderly lady, and she started telling me about that she had had her finger chopped off. They were cutting wood when she was little, and they had pickled her finger, and I didn't see it, but it was true, they did, and she still had it. So I thought, well, this is really an odd thing with all the other stuff that's happening. But let me say one more thing. I wrote about the Tesla files, where they could create illnesses or cure them using magnetic healing or mind control as hypnosis. Using your mind to heal or create an illness, make you commit suicide, and suicide by mind control, and you can't help it. But it's made to appear that way. Or they can create cancer or cure it or all of it. So I guess that's how my finger came back, because it grew back, and now then it's kind of, well, I've got arthritis, but this one's kind of bad, but a bit different. But it was odd because it was hell. I screamed, and I can remember that. And the two men and the dirty. I've had things done to me that any human being couldn't have survived.